Welcome all of those of you who've joined us tonight for the Discover Consultancy Skills session. Within this session over the next hour, we're really going to dive into what consultancy skills consists of, why it's valuable to have on your CV and to be able to apply to Salesforce projects. Really gives you an oversight of where it's important and how it can help prevent projects going that little bit squiffy, because actually the reason why often projects fail is not so much of the technical work, but it's about making sure that you're delivering requirements and technical solutions that meet the needs of the organization. And with that, and to be able to empower you to do that is actually being equipped with the consultancy skills. So if you are considering working as a solo Salesforce administrator or working as a business analyst or project manager or change manager or Salesforce consultant, these skills will stand you in good stead. Our consultancy skills course is proudly sponsored by CloudGaia. That's an international Salesforce consultancy and has just had funding from Salesforce Ventures. They're an incredible organization that's doing very well as a consultancy partner. And they will be providing some support and resources to the course and our other courses as we go throughout the year as well. So I'm looking forward to sharing with you tonight a little bit more about the skills. We've also got one of our Supermum alumni, Bill Ward, who I'll be introducing you to, who will be sharing his experience of learning these skills and how they've helped him put in place the right support to continue and launch his Salesforce career as well. So just an introduction to myself for those that aren't familiar with me. So I launched Supermums 7 years ago to empower people to launch and accelerate their career, specifically focusing on women, but also anybody else that wants to come on our courses are very welcome. And we encourage that inclusive community of everybody that wants to upskill and learn. I started my Salesforce consultancy journey back in 2012, established myself as an independent Salesforce consultant, and then successfully won more work than I could manage myself and grew a Salesforce consultancy around me, up to a team of 20. And during that time, we delivered over 700 projects. And what I found on that journey was that initially, I'd learned Salesforce administration and did my advanced admin and app builder certifications, but realized that I didn't have the skills to design a system and facilitate people, particularly if they were quite negative around Salesforce, and how to bring them on board and empower them with that change management process. And also how to be able to manage scope creep, because quite often there was always more requirements than the budget would allow. And so I wanted to know how I could effectively facilitate that and manage scope creep so we could we could shortlist requirements within the time and budget in a professional way that a client would understand, rather than it feel awkward that I would have to say no to them, that we couldn't do everything. And so on that journey of sort of identifying, I suppose, some of those challenges, that's when I upskilled in business analysis, Agile Project Management and change management. And my background was also as a certified NLP and business coach. And I've equally found the business and career coaching tools handy to have in my toolbox to really facilitate and empower and engage people throughout the transformation process. So I've learned a lot over the years. I've got my stripes and I've certainly weathered storms throughout Salesforce projects as well, and learned from each of those. And with this course, I really wanted to provide a very condensed, focused, strategic course with the skills that you need to just hit the ground running with your Salesforce projects. And to set you up for success and to mind the gap and not have to go through the same challenges that many of us might not have done if we'd started from scratch. So obviously you're always going to be on a learning journey, and we all will experience slight challenges on projects. You're never going to get away from that, but certainly if you can put in place a good foundation and start to apply these skills in practice, it's going to set you up for success, as I mentioned, really. So why learn consultancy skills? There's pretty much 5 reasons why people sign up to the consultancy skills course. The first is they really want to boost their confidence and overcome the imposter syndrome that can quite often set in when they are applying for jobs. So being in a position where you are feeling like you're not enough with just an admin certification, that you don't feel that you're qualified, why should I get this job? Am I really good enough? By adding additional skills and certifications to your CV and to your knowledge can really help boost that confidence and overcome that. So you feel that when you go to those interviews, you present yourself. And that's certainly what I felt, that if I was charging £400 day rates, which I was from the outset as a Salesforce consultant, that, I had the qualifications in order to charge that much. That's what I wanted to feel like. How could I charge 400 if I wasn't professionally trained in these areas? So if you want to charge more and you want to deliver and present and have the full skill set and to earn the higher salaries, then that's where you want to be. And as I say, I started out at the beginning charging 450 day rates as a Salesforce professional. The second reason is I wanted to have a professional way to deliver projects with templates and tools. When you're charging people for your time, I don't want to feel like I'm a cowboy and that I don't have any structure or tools and templates to present information back to them. I wanted to make sure I knew how to do that professionally, and again, feeling like they're paying for that quality. So having and going on these courses and learning the tools and templates and how to present it back was really important for me. So it allows you to feel like you are delivering in a professional way, and equally, therefore, you will feel worthy of the day rates that you're charging as a Salesforce professional. And with that communication and with that approach, you then come across as a trusted, authoritative Salesforce professional with the right confidence and professional toolkit. It's amazing actually how many people out there don't have some of these skills and toolkits and just make it up as they go along. And to be honest, that doesn't actually work in their favor necessarily to land a job or get a promotion or win work. The reason I was able to grow a Salesforce consultancy and have a 60% repeat and referral customer rate and grow it was because every time I rocked up to a project, I would deliver in a really professional way with a structure, with an approach. And so naturally that then just brought more recommendations and referrals to me, which is why I was able to grow a Salesforce consultancy to a team of 20 and work on 750 projects, because we had this professional approach to do it. And what I really experienced over the years is that every time a project went a little bit wonky, as I say, inevitably you learn as you go, that I would refine the tools and the processes. So over the years that I was running my Salesforce consultancy, I kept refining the questions, the tools, the techniques in response to where a project had slightly gone wrong. And so the fourth reason people upskill in these areas is to avoid project failure, because you want to focus on delivering successful outcomes. If you can mind the gap and you deliver a great job, then you're going to win more work. You're going to be able to charge more. You're going to be able to get that promotion. You'll be able to get that job, and you'll really shine at interviews. So I highly recommend that anybody that learns these skills and techniques, that when you go for a job interview or in a promotion meeting or you're pitching for a piece of work, demonstrate and showcase all of the tools and templates and the skills and the methodologies that you'd use, because that's what I did, which is why I was able to win 50% of the bids that I would go and pitch for. So you want to be successful in this job, and it will pay dividends, because you can double your salary on this journey as quick as you want to if you show up and you demonstrate everything. And it will allow you to boost your earning potential, as you're starting out or stepping up in it. So they're the 5 reasons what I've experienced from people doing the course, and also obviously as I shared from my journey. But I want to introduce Bill at this stage. So Bill started with Supermums alumni. Bill Ward is one of our Supermums alumni, and he started with the Salesforce admin course and then progressed to the consultancy skills course. So I'm going to stop sharing my screen at the moment, but I just wanted to show his LinkedIn banner because I think it's lovely how Bill is now presenting himself as an independent Salesforce consultant. He's had the confidence to do that, which is lovely, and has successfully won work as a self-employed Salesforce consultant. So, Bill, I'll stop showing my screen and put you in the spotlight. It would be lovely for you to share. Let me find the spotlight. Spotlight for everyone. There you go. You have the spotlight. Bill, it'd be lovely for you to share with everybody, I suppose, your journey, what you were doing before, why you chose to launch into Salesforce, and the benefits you've gained from the courses really, and obviously the consultancy skills course on your journey, and where you want to go next. So I'll hand over to you to just share your experience for a bit.
Oh, thank you, Heather. Yeah, no pressure then. So if you've looked at all at my LinkedIn profile, you'll see that I have a bit of an eclectic mix of a background, but I'll try and keep it short and sweet. So I graduated with an engineering degree many years ago and went into engineering for a time in what was known as avionics, which was electronics for aeroplanes, because I had this underlying interest in aeroplanes. And after a time of doing that, I was rather bored and wanted something more exciting. So I took myself away, got myself trained up as a commercial pilot. And I was in the air transport industry for, 25 or so years, flying around as an airline pilot, but also I got some really, really good skills by not just spending the time in the cockpit, but I spent time as a senior manager and director in flight operations, which really is the sort of organization and the infrastructure of an airline that makes sure that you have the right airplanes in the right place with the right pilots trained and so forth. So I did that for many years, but it's quite a grueling industry to be in. It's not very family friendly. You do long hours. It's not really 9 to 5. And especially when you're in the cockpit doing long haul, you find yourself working against your body clock the whole time. So you're fighting to be awake when your body wants to be asleep and vice versa. So my family needed me, so I thought I'd had enough of that. And I did some consulting in the air transport industry for a time, helping other airlines to bolster up and become more efficient with their flight operations. And then my wife and I set up our own business so she's a trademark attorney, which is a specialist intellectual property discipline in law. And she did all the client work, and I did all the background stuff to keep the business running, to look after the finances. And I played a lot on the computer side with the IT, the CRM that we had, and also the case management system. None of which was Salesforce, because in all honesty, I hadn't heard of Salesforce at the time. Well, I'd heard of it, but I perceived it to be for very large companies, and little old our business, it would have been a sledgehammer to crack a nut. So after we sold the business a couple of years ago, I was at another career juncture again for about the third time. And I went around, I got some coaching from a lovely company called Career Shifters, who took me through a whole process of learning and examining really what I wanted to do for the rest of my life. And in the alumni of Career Shifters was Heather. So I saw her career success story on this Career Shifters website, And I jumped across onto the Supermums site, and it was yeah, I thought, this is for me. So I then took up the admin course last November, and so I really went from Salesforce Zero to Salesforce Admin and BA certification by sort of April of this year, April, May, I think I was when I had it all done. And then I went through I added on to that because for all the reasons that Heather has just set out, I thought it's all very well to have the technical skills, but if you're out there doing your bit as a Salesforce admin, whether it's as a consultant or as an in-house admin, I really felt that the consulting skills that I had learned many years ago in another industry probably weren't going to cut it. I realized things had changed. I realized things were done very differently in the IT world. I had to learn what on earth was Agile. I'd never heard of that. We didn't use that system. I'd certainly heard of change management, but um, so Heather's consulting skills course really did fit the bill, and it gave me tremendous confidence to go forward and set myself up as an independent consultant, because I really felt that I'm very happy to work as an employee, but I just, you know, given all the experience and the journey that I've taken along the way, I would rather have the freedom to be independent. And if that takes me a bit longer to build up, I don't mind that. I can afford, in terms of the time, to do that. So I can't recommend it highly enough. You know, all the aspects of project management, change management, and there is no shortage of politics that does come in, really, when you're dealing with your client, whether it's your in-house client or as a consultant. You really do have to navigate quite a delicate path at times, because and the consulting skills course will teach you all of this. You need to be sure that whilst you're eliciting what it is they want to do, and however strong your opinions are on how you think it should be done, you have to make sure that they own the whole process, and all the decision making has to come from them. If you try to cram it down their neck, that might be okay for a bit, but then later that's probably going to bite you where it'll hurt.
Thank you.
I'll take a pause there and
Oh, but I think also what was so successful about your experience is when you were doing the work experience on your admin course, you managed to convert that into a paying client, which is fantastic and testament to it. And we've loved seeing those success stories. Do you want to just talk about how you positioned yourself to kind of make that happen?
yeah, absolutely. I mean, I'd love to sort of make it out to be some very complicated formula, but um, what I did was that, first and foremost, I love the client, because they are still, I'm still with them, and they were fantastic people. The charity does fantastic things for disadvantaged children, and I actually, um, during the internship stage, I went down to visit them. There, it was about 100-mile drive, but you know, I just thought I really need to see firsthand what sort of a setup it is, and it was brilliant. Got on very well, and I really felt in the heart I want to do more for these people, and because they had a Salesforce instance that had been implemented about a year before I started. And there were a couple of other interns there that had done some great work, but they were also, the implementation was originally done with an ISV, a software vendor, that it's a very complicated booking system. And unfortunately, that was a botched project. And just as I was arriving, they had already all but made the decision, already served notice to that ISV to say, look, we're not going to work together anymore. And then when I came and I was then introduced to what, they already had a list of stuff that they wanted me to do, but I was obviously spending loads of time looking inside the org. And there was all this stuff that was just everywhere, every object, every page you opened, there were just fields and stuff that was about to become redundant. The functionality that they were trying to get used, to get working, just wasn't working. So we had to navigate around that. And we even considered whether it would just be easier to start with a whole new instance. And they couldn't get their heads around that. And to be frank, I didn't have the wasta to say, look, let's do that. I was talking to my own mentor from Supermums to say, what do you think of that? And he said to me, well, Bill, I've been in situations where I've recommended that to clients before. He said, but 9 times out of 10, they just won't do it because it scares them. They just don't want to do that. But anyway, we got past that and we started to little by little make things better, make improvements. And my internship was running out quite quickly. The hours, the 48 hours, it's not very much. And I said to them, look, I don't know how it works. It would have to be done through Supermums, but if you can find a way for me to stay on with you, I'd love to do it. And that I just simply asked. I did no more than that. I wrote them a little proposal. It was a short email. I thought no point in writing anything long. I said, let's keep it simple. Whether you want to take me as an employee, I'd be happy to do that on a part-time basis in some way that's affordable for you because they don't have much money. Or if you prefer, we can do it at arm's length. And of course, I'm used to working at arm's length with clients because of my previous business was all about doing that. And I already had a company set up. But don't let that put you off. You do not need a company to be set up to set yourself up in a freelance way to do work for people. You can just do it, well, at least in the UK anyway, as a sole trader. So bottom line, I just asked.
You just asked. I love that. Absolutely. And you wrote a little proposal, but you built rapport with them as well, which is lovely, kind of all those extra things. And I think it's how you show up and present yourself in that work experience. And, they were a real client for you and worked through that process. So, it's fantastic. Thank you, Bill, for sharing that, because I think it's a really good way of demonstrating the power of the opportunity that's put on the table. And it's great that you used your mentor as well. That's what your mentor's there for you, to be that sounding board throughout those 6 months of your learning journey and your work experience. So that's fantastic that you used that as well. Thank you so much for sharing.
Yeah, no problem. I need to find a new mentor because obviously the internship's over and everything. So you need a mentor all the time.
Or just ask in the alumni community. We've got 1,700 people in Slack. So I think,
get myself on Slack.
yeah, well, even in WhatsApp, there's all the mentors are on there. But what I think is really important to have that mentor going forward is to be really clear what you want mentoring in. What products or what skill sets are you needing? Because obviously everybody's kind of got their niche in the community. So utilize the community as much as possible. But thank you so much, Bill, for sharing your journey and your experience. Has anybody got any questions for Bill at this stage? Any questions? No, all good with you. No, thanks, Jennifer. I'm glad you enjoyed it. Shows what's possible on that. Oh, brilliant. If you've got any questions, please ask Bill in the chat. He might stay on a bit longer. If I said he can go and enjoy his evening, but if he's here, please do ask any questions while I'm continuing the presentation. But thank you, Bill, for sharing and for your time this evening. It's been fantastic to see your journey. Very, very inspiring and very proud of you. So
You're very welcome.
So let me bring my slide deck back up. So where were we? So on the journey, as we've talked about, we at Supermums, we talk about a 2-year progression track, and we want to accelerate your success over 2 years. And so when you start out in Salesforce, you will start off inevitably with the admin certification, and then you can choose which path you go down. Now, which path you go down might be more of a technical route where you upskill in advanced admin, DevOps, and sort of really take the admin developer route, or you might skill up in business analysis, project management, change management, and take more of the consultant route. And from there, you can then work towards an architect and program manager role. So inevitably, if you were to start out at the most sort of minimum salary, we would say that you might start out on his 30K. Depending on your skill set and experience, you definitely don't need to necessarily start on that salary. It just really depends on your baseline. But you could then double your salary, up to 72K, up to 100K, depending on where you want to go. Certainly as a program manager and working within larger organizations and consultancies, you could command a higher salary. So I have seen Supermum alumni do this within 2 years. They have had their head down. They've even worked part-time so they can really focus on their certifications and really knuckle them out and get 9 to 10 certifications within a couple of years and get to that salary earning potential. So it really is down to your capacity. Everybody will go at their own pace. It's not a rush. Everybody will have their journey, but that's what the opportunity is. And on average, that could take you 2 years. If you have obviously a lot going on in your life, it could take you 4 years. It just really depends on where you want to go. So with consultancy skills, it is about developing your essential skill set. So as a Salesforce professional, you will work on your Salesforce certifications, which is your technical skill sets. But we will also highly recommend that you focus on business analysis, which helps. I'll talk into what that go. I'll delve into what business analysis is, but it's really about understanding the business requirements in more detail and making sure you're building the right solution. It's looking at change management. And I talk about the 3 E's with change management. How do you engage, enthuse, and empower your stakeholders throughout the journey? As Bill mentioned, quite often it can be quite political. You've got different moods, different personalities, and you've got to bring them all on the journey with you. Next, you've got Agile Project Management, which is all around really keeping projects in time and in budget, because there will always often be more requirements than the budget will allow, and you have to manage that and manage that expectation with your stakeholders. Equally, DevOps is something that is normally now required and is needed. You might not have to do the DevOps if you're not in a technical role, but certainly understanding how it fits into the development cycle and how to oversee that will add value to your CV. So we partner with GearSet, and they provide free DevOps courses that are available as part of the Supermums community. So we'd highly recommend getting some of their certifications on your CV and really starting to learn more about the DevOps cycle. And then finally, coaching skills. So we have a series of career coaching modules that you can watch and certainly learn about what coaching skills are and how they can empower you to overcome your own imposter syndrome and think about how you present yourself at interview or in business pitches, but equally how you can use coaching skills with your stakeholders as well, because they have a twofold value really in terms of how you operate as a Salesforce professional. So just to unpack these in more detail and what they cover, with business analysis, it is really about understanding the business priorities. And so what we talk about is the North Star, and understanding what are the needs of the business right now? What are their pain points? And how do we prioritize any technical work that meets the pain points of the organization? So it's about creating the business, looking at the business priorities, creating the business case about why you should invest in certain technology and how it will solve those pain points and meet the priorities. And once you've prioritized things, you then will knuckle down into understanding the business process. So say, for example, bringing in more sales was a requirement. They needed to make more money, and that was the top high-level requirement. You would then conduct business analysis workshops with the sales team to map out their business process as it is now, and also introduce solutions to them about how they could improve it using technology. So within our consultancy skills course, we provide a Sales Cloud business analysis questionnaire and technical solutions to help you deliver that sales workshop, for example. So it's plug and play, Sales Cloud, business analysis workshop that we provide you with on the consultancy skills course, which will enable you to gather the requirements, both the functional and the technical requirements, to document them and know how to document all of those requirements so you can present them back to the stakeholders for them to sign off, and for you to then take that away and to be able to then present that to the technical team. So within business analysis, it's all about you feeling empowered to deliver a business analysis workshop and process, to know how to write the business case, to know how to gather requirements and design a solution that's going to meet their needs, and how to document those requirements in a professional way that you can, one, show the stakeholders, and two, share with the technical team. So that is what a successful business analyst would be able to deliver on and do, and that's the things that we can train you on. With change management, this influences almost how you deliver the business analysis sessions, because within those business analysis workshops, you're going to have different stakeholders. And we talk about stakeholders sitting in 4 different camps, which is part of your stakeholder analysis. So you might have some that are champions that love Salesforce and are really excited. But equally, you're going to have people sat in other camps, which are those that are sleepers, who are ignoring that this is happening. And you almost need to know how to wake them up and get them on board. And then you might have blockers, and blockers are those that don't want this to happen, that they want to stick with their way of working. So with change management, it's about identifying these different stakeholder types, knowing how best to influence and engage them. And one of the considerations for that is also about understanding the organizational culture, because with the organizational culture, you need to understand how they operate as an organization to know which is the best methodology and approach to engaging and enthusing people. Because if it's a machine-led organization, which is very top down, i.e. the management decide what is required and then they effectively push that down to the grassroots, they will have a way of managing and communicating with the stakeholders in the organization. Whereas if you're an organization which is very top up or grassroots, sorry, they will have a different approach, in that actually it may be those at the grassroots that are empowered and are engaging with you. But then how do you influence the senior managers to get involved? Because actually the senior managers might not be involved, which also can cause a challenge in terms of adoption. So as Bill reflected on in his conversation, understanding the politics, understanding the culture, and knowing the risks of what could happen and why you might not get good user adoption. If you haven't got managers that are adopting the system, that will pose a problem. And if you haven't got end users at the grassroots adopting the system, that is going to cause a problem. So with change management, it's about knowing how to engage people in the best way, understanding who they are, what the culture is, and knowing which strategies you can roll out. So we teach different leadership styles, different communication strategies, different motivational strategies, different ways of training people to make sure that you're getting everybody on board and aligning with different learning styles. So you're making sure that you've got everything in place for that. So change management is about knowing how to bring people along with you on this journey and getting high user adoption at the end. The next area is around Agile Project Management. And Agile Project Management, we teach the DSDM model at Supermums, which is the best model if you're going to look at a strategic project and prioritize requirements to the business need, and then sort of focusing on summarizing requirements for each of the different areas and departments that you're working with. So with Agile Project Management, it is the norm and the typical approach that you would manage a technical project. It was designed specifically for technical projects. But what it enables you to do is to have a methodology that all of the stakeholders would engage with to prioritize requirements, which means that when you've got a list of 100 requirements that have come out of the business analysis session, you can effectively work with the stakeholders to prioritize those to bring them into scope. So that might mean that you have a methodology, and then we teach the Moscow prioritization technique, where you can prioritize things using Moscow rules and get a short list of maybe 50 things that will fit within the time and budget, and the client's okay with that. And that's what's really important, is that the client is okay that they won't get everything, that they know how to prioritize things, and they know that that's okay. And to have a methodology that enables you to do that, that is international best practice, is really important. So you're not in a position where you feel like you're saying no to a client and upsetting them, because that's the alternative, right? You're kind of in this awkward position of going, oh my gosh, their list is really long. How do I say to the client that they can't have all of these things? And finding yourself in that tricky situation. And finally, the final point about Agile Project Management is about knowing the project management tools to use. It's really important to have project management tools that are used as part of the project management process and that are shared with the stakeholders. So equally, they are maintained, accountability is maintained for everybody involved. It's one of the sort of the challenges we found on projects, that if we weren't setting tasks for stakeholders in any coherent way with deadlines or timeframes, the projects would inevitably go beyond the expected timeframe and they would run late. So having a project management tool that clients and stakeholders were bought into and everybody's using to make sure that projects were delivered on time and budget was really, really important. And so they're what I call the hat trick skills of consultancy, and being able to really manage all those different facets with a client. And then finally, you've got DevOps as well. And that's about knowing the DevOps process, how a team will interact with that, what the different DevOps tools are, and sort of backing up any of your data. So to say, we partner with GearSet on that DevOps process. So with all of this in place, you will avoid the problems that I've mentioned before, which is where requirements are not gathered properly, requirements are not prioritized, and then they aren't delivered to align to business goals. And equally, if there is no consistent, clear documentation, that will also come back round and cause a problem later on. I've seen it, I've been there, I've felt those problems. Having run a consultancy, you've got a team delivering, and where that hasn't been delivered, it will take projects over time and budget, and will cause challenges. So you want to make sure that you've got everything squeaky clean, you've got approach, you've got a methodology, and the client knows, and have the expectations set out with them, and they can see that everything's done in a way, because then they won't challenge or argue or feel unclear about anything. It's all documented out for them. So you want to avoid failure on this. You want to make sure that the technology does align to business need, that there isn't an overspend on budget, And ultimately, you're aiming for high user adoption on both the manager level and the grassroots level. That's where we really want to get people to. So depending on where you are now, quite often people will come on the journey and start out their career where they feel like they have no structure, they don't know how to do documentation, they don't know how to process map. As a result of that, they don't know how to design a solution. And that will inevitably, if people continue in that space, inevitably you will end up with poor engagement, poor understanding, and poor adoption of the solutions. And that's where cowboys operate. You know, you will get cowboy consultants who haven't trained in any of these disciplines. And this is what happens. And I've certainly had to go into organizations and fix these challenges. And it's very hard when an organization has already gone through this project and it's gone wrong, because you have to make that extra mile to kind of get them on board with it again and get them excited again and fix the stuff and give them confidence that it's going to be fixed the second time round. So where you want to be is that you have a clear structure to know how to deliver on these projects, that you know how to create clear documentation, and that you know how to create clear processes off the back of requirements. And you've got a clear process as well, because ultimately our job is to create clear processes for the client, but also as a consultant, we want to have a clear process for our project process as well. So if you have those things in place, you will get really good engagement, you'll get a much better understanding amongst all the stakeholders, and you'll also get high adoption from the stakeholders on board. And that's where, as I say, I saw the success. I grew a consultancy off the back of that with great referrals, because all of these things were in place. So just to recap, if you want to learn more about consultancy skills, we cover all of these key skill sets on the course. I studied for the equivalent of 5 weeks studying all these disciplines, but what I've done is condensed all of the content and knowledge and squeezed out those things that you really need to know and apply on projects, and delivered it on a much cheaper price point than I paid, certainly, for the same content, to allow you to hit the ground running in these areas. So with business analysis, we give you the tools and techniques and templates to deliver and create a business case, to elicit requirements, to create documents, to have business analysis scripts for a Sales Cloud workshop, a Service Cloud workshop, e-marketing, payment integrations, you name it. There's different scripts in there that allow you to plug and play and do business analysis sessions. Equally, we teach you in change management skills, and we talk about rational and readiness. You know, how do you understand that? How do you approach the team? How do you encourage the senior stakeholders to lead and facilitate change? And how do you train and embed stakeholders? So they're the 4 pillars that I talk about in change management. And with Agile Project Management, we focus primarily on the DSDM methodology, which is, I say, that strategic methodology that allows you to prioritize business requirements and look at what the organization needs and manage a whole implementation. We also touched on Scrum methodology, which is more about managing technical teams to deliver on requirements at the grassroots. So it's that second tier down. But we look at tools and templates and systems that you can use for project management. And also we cover an introduction to DevOps. So as you can see here, there's lots of different BA scripts involved and available. And I also run mentoring sessions every week where we cover additional things. And we will do some practical case studies and exercises around some of these areas as well. So we encourage breakout rooms as part of some of these sessions, so you get to brainstorm things, because actually everybody quite often knows a lot of this stuff, but they haven't put it in a logical checklist or order. So I really like to help people, the trainees, build relationships with each other. We've seen people get jobs through other people on the course and work together on projects and really support each other, and to brainstorm some of these topics. And then we do a checklist, and I give you a checklist for each of these areas around risk management, non-functional requirements, agile training strategies, how to do a health check, and we look at the BA scripts for all these different products as we go through, and also finally a checklist for offboarding. So we prepare you for everything you need, and a lot of this content also sets you up for success for the business analysis certification that Salesforce offer. So you get a credential qualification from Supermums, a consultancy skills certification, but equally you will have enough content and knowledge to be able to do the Salesforce business analysis certification off the back of it. In addition to that, you get access to our career coaching clinics and support. We have on-demand coaching sessions and also a career support session where you can get support with your CV or any questions you've got. And then we've got obviously our recruitment agency that can support you with job opportunities as well as part of it. So if you are interested in upskilling in any of these areas, the course starts in September. You can book in a call with Lynn, who's with us today, and we will share the link for booking in a call where you can have a chat with her and talk through any questions that you might have. The course starts in September. It's for 12 weeks. We set a structure for learning, which will look at a minimum of 4 hours a week. The core curriculum is 4 hours a week. You can complete that at your own pace. So if you want to complete more than that time in a week, you're more than welcome to. If you can only do 2 hours or whatever a week, then that's up to you as well. So you can go through the on-demand content at your own pace, but what there is on a weekly basis is a 1-hour consultancy live session with me that you can access. You can book in a one-to-one coaching session with me at any point to support you with a project or with career advice or anything that you need. That's valued at £250 for the hour. I'm a qualified career coach, so I'm more than happy to help you, as I say, with anything Salesforce related on a project or with your career. So I'd always support you with those live sessions. And then you've also got this peer network of alumni. So we have over 1,700 on our Slack community, which consists of all our mentors and alumni all over the world who currently work in Salesforce. And we've built that network over 7 years. So it's an incredible network to build your LinkedIn connections with and get to know people, to find work, to find a mentor, and to really just build up, as I say, that community that we strongly advocate within Supermums and the Salesforce Ohana generally. And, we just love getting together at different events and opportunities to really build those relationships. And as I say, we're really delighted to have seen how people have got work or found new mentors and build those relationships all over the place. So as you've heard from Bill today, there is some other testimonials that we have on our website from people who've been through our courses. So Catalina here said the course is very well structured and organised in order to guide you through all the steps in the implementation process with lots of detailed information, templates and checklists that will make any consultant's life easier. She says the consultancy programme has given her the practical resources and new language and concepts to use with clients and teams, and felt much more confident having that in practice. And then Seema, who was a realtor in USA, she upskilled and became a Salesforce business analyst. And her feedback was, after completing my admin cert, I really wanted the skills to design new systems and respond to different stakeholder needs throughout the CRM process. She really enjoyed the consultancy course that gave her the confidence to deliver with a clear implementation process for projects with tools and techniques. The best thing about it so far is the quality of the information, because everything has been relevant to me, and I wish I'd knew it all before I started as a solo Salesforce admin, and I would recommend it to anyone who's just passed their admin certification. So we've got some fantastic case studies and testimonials. There's more on the website. I spent over £11,000 upskilling myself in these areas, but when I have a £400 day rate being paid to me, it felt a good return on investment. And obviously, to say, I grew a consultancy off the back of that. And so for our course, I condensed a lot of the learning and made it very specific to the Salesforce projects. And we charge £1,500 for our course, or you can pay in 3 instalments of £540. As I mentioned, you can benefit from the Supermums certification for completion and also the Focus on the Force membership. So it's really good value. If you can increase your salary and earning potential, it can help you land a job, land a business pitch, or get that promotion, then it's definitely worth its weight in gold. And it's about having the confidence of how to position and pitch yourself. As I say, it's really about how you engage, enthuse, and empower people in a professional way to love Salesforce like you. It's about giving you a clear structure, a clear documentation process, and a clear process so you can deliver a great solution with high engagement that is understood by the client, which leads to high adoption and for you a higher salary and career progression, rather than being stagnant in a role and not progressing and not feeling like you have any structural process. There's nothing worse than that, and you're going to continue to feel like an imposter if that is the case, potentially off the back of it. So we'd love to support you. We want to make you feel empowered. And say, hopefully tonight has allowed you to discover what consultancy skills means, what it entails. If you learn all of the skills, doesn't mean you have to be a consultant and apply all of those skills, but having the knowledge of what they are is really valuable. And you could decide to focus on business analysis as a role, or agile project management role, or as a change manager as a role. Or you can be a consultant and apply all of those skills. What it does is allow you to understand the big picture and what everybody's roles and responsibilities are, and you can choose the direction of travel that best aligns with you and your attributes and your skills and your knowledge. So we just want to empower you in your career. We've loved hearing all of the stories of where Supermums are now that have been through our training courses. We'd be happy to answer any questions you have. I will stop recording at this point, so anything is confidential. But thank you for listening tonight, and we'd love to see you on the next course in September.